Good evening, and welcome to the Women's E-News, 21 Leaders for the 21st Century Gala.
I figured out. I'm Rita Henley-Jensen, founder of Women's E-News, now 15 years old, and still changing the lives of women and girls and honoring the outstanding leaders who do too, and it's been such a privilege. It's so amazing. It's the best part of this job is to meet and greet and get to know the 21 leaders. It's been 15 years of surviving and even thriving despite the dot-com crash, the 2009 financial meltdown and the resulting recession, and being an early adapter among nonprofit news media. Because of this and the generosity of those who attend, many who give annually, we've been able to do prize-winning investigative reporting, telling the true stories of women and girls across the globe. How can we thank you enough for having this privilege? Tonight will be a whirlwind trip around the globe, touching on incredible leadership of women and men. On behalf of women and girls, you will meet some of the best and the brightest, but only 21 of them. So many more deserve this recognition and honor. And yes, we've begun working on the nominee list for 2016 because there's certain people who said, I can't make it this year. Can you put me on the list for next year? But I am so, not but, and I am so, that's one of the things I do is delete the buts and make them ands in the news stories, yes. I am so proud tonight to introduce Kamala Lopez, a 21 leader from 2012. I met her the year before when I became aware of her campaign for women's rights to be part of the U.S. Constitution. I was drawn immediately to her passion and her determination. She has now produced and directed an important new documentary, Equal Means Equal, and has generously agreed to be our MC tonight. Kamala?
Ladies and gentlemen, honorees and guests, welcome, and thank you for being here on this historic night. There is a perfect storm approaching for women and girls. There is a confluence of factors that will necessarily place women's rights at the forefront of the public consciousness over the next 18 months. I know you have felt the rumblings as the storm approaches. Your work has been the rain dance. For my part, I have been immersed for the last 6 years on the documentary Equal Means Equal, an analysis of the status of women in the United States across a dozen subject areas, from the gender pay gap to domestic violence. I am taking an unvarnished look at the present landscape, as well as federal and state laws that are in place to protect women's rights, and I have found them to be woefully insufficient, if not directly harmful. The film makes a strong case to address the matter constitutionally. As such, I entreat each of you to move passage of the federal Equal Rights Amendment to the top of your agenda, if only for the next 18 months. If we can agree to do that for the next 18 months, the ERA will raise all ships and will help all of you in the work that you're doing. I believe that the combined efforts of those in this room tonight will be able to bring this perfect storm in for a safe landing and finally give American women the legal standing upon which to continue their journey towards full, substantive equality. You're about to watch a short introduction to the film, which is in its final stages of post-production. I would like to show you also a brief clip from within the film, which includes a portion of Rita's powerful interview. I'm sure that you will see how important her contribution is to her film, and I thank her profoundly for being willing to share her personal story to help other women. Presently, networks, distributors, and politicians are looking closely at our number of supporters to see whether our unprecedented Kickstarter success indicates commensurate public interest. Every name, every click, every like is heavily weighted as reflective of the public support for women's equal rights. As such, I ask you respectfully from the bottom of my heart to please sign up to equalmeansequal.com. It's on the inside of your program. I will ask you for nothing, not a dollar. I just need to show them that people care about this so that we can get this distributed widely. Thank you.
I have an emotional reaction to this clip, as you might imagine. And why am I willing to go public? So few battered women are. And what I really treasure about this clip is it demonstrates lack of access to reproductive health care. It's not that I didn't know how. I couldn't get it. It demonstrates the violence against women and it often begins in early pregnancy. And homicide is one of the leading causes of death among pregnant women. And it also demonstrates the importance of supporting women after they get out so that they can lead an adult life. And I'm so grateful, Kamala, that you are part of us. And look at the beautiful scarf she gave me at the end of our filming. So thank you again for this.
Thank you, Rita. I just want to say in our film we have domestic violence survivors, but Rita is our positive example of somebody that turned her life around, became an award-winning journalist, and look at us all tonight. So good for you.
And we're planning to show the film on Women's Equality Day, August 26th. So see you at our space. Maybe we'll get a bigger room. Thank you. Bye.
And I just want to add that Rita has been named one of Folio magazine's top women in media corporate visionary to be celebrated in June. At this moment, I would like to ask all previous winners of the 21 Leaders for the 21st Century to please stand and receive your applause. On behalf of Women's E-News, I would also like to thank Dr. Nina Ansari, Lorene Arbus, and the Lorene Arbus Foundation, Bloomberg, Abigail Disney, Sharon D'Agostino, Lauren Embry, and the Embry Family Foundation, Eileen Fisher, Gordon Gray Jr., Eva and Joelle Holler, Hearst Corporation, Ambassador Swanee Hunt and the Hunt Alternatives Fund, Urate Kitsakas Novo Foundation, and Regina Scully and the Phoebe Snow Foundation for their support of the 21 Leaders 2015 Award Gala. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you. As you will soon see, this gala is like no other. This evening is an extension of Women's E-News daily news reporting, a live demonstration of what the organization does best, elevating women's voices, telling their stories to an international audience, helping to further their work, and creating opportunities for change. 3 journalist presenters will take to the floor tonight, microphones in hand, serving as on-the-ground reporters and introducing our 21 Leaders 2015. Therefore, there is no bad seat in the House. Also tonight, you will have a chance to meet two of the outstanding Women's E-News journalists and hear about their work and aspirations. One of the most well-known women who followed in the footsteps of Ida B. Wells, Dorrie Maynard, died February 24th at the age of 56 of lung cancer. She lived in Oakland, California, where she ran the Robert C. Maynard Institute, named after her father, the first Black American to own a major daily newspaper. As president of the Institute, she was a champion of diversity in journalism and civic life. The Institute is the nation's oldest organization dedicated to helping the news media accurately portray all segments of society, particularly those often overlooked, such as communities of color. Her voice and commitment will be missed. It's a complete honor for me to have the opportunity to introduce Rachel Swarns to this audience. Swarns is a Metro columnist for the New York Times. Her weekly column, The Working Life, focuses on work, the workplace, and evolving New York City economy. In one particularly memorable column, Swarn documented the life and death of Maria Fernandez, who worked 3 jobs at Dunkin' Donuts for $8.25 an hour and died as she napped between shifts in her parked car with the engine running to keep warm. Thank you for joining us tonight, Rachel.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm here to present the Ida B. Wells Award. The Ida B. Wells Award for Bravery in Journalism is awarded in honor of a courageous and crusading journalist who continues to inspire today. Ida B. Wells was born a slave in Mississippi and migrated to Memphis after the Civil War. She became a school teacher first and then a newspaper owner. In 1892, her newspaper was destroyed by a mob after she wrote a blistering editorial condemning the lynching of a respected Black businessman and 2 of his friends. She became a national figure in the anti-lynching movement and a tireless advocate for women's suffrage. This year, the Ida B. Wells Award goes to a tenured UCLA professor who, in true Ida B. Wells fashion, told the story behind the story, revealing a critical turning point on the road to the Los Angeles riots in 1992. Dr. Brenda E. Stevenson is the author of the prize-winning book, The Contested Murder of Latasha Harlins, Justice, Gender, and the Origins of the LA Riots, which documented the influence of race, ethnicity, class, and gender in the shooting of a 15-year-old African-American girl by a Korean store owner. Last month, Dr. Stevenson was also awarded a Guggenheim Fellowship. Dr. Stevenson, I am pleased to present you with the Ida B. Wells Award.
Good evening. Thank you, Women's E-News, for the magnificent honor of being named the 2015 Ida B. Wells recipient. There is no other person like Wells who fought so bravely and brilliantly at her time in order to provide dignity, justice, and protection for the lives of Black men and women so viciously brutalized, mutilated, burned, and murdered in the South, and indeed throughout the nation in the 19th and 20th centuries. Thank you, in particular, to Rita, Megan, and the other staff of the incredible Women's E-News organization. Congratulations to the other distinguished recipients of the 21 Leaders of the 21st Century Award for the tremendous work that they have done and continue to do, and the significant positive impact it is having on girls and women throughout the world. I also would like to thank the members of my family, my parents, James and Emma Stevenson, my sister Iris, who is with me tonight, my sister Beverly, who could not be here, my wonderful husband James, and his loving sister Monty, my beautiful daughter Emma, who is taking or supposedly, her college exams this week and could not come. Let's just hope she's studying. But who is always with me as my foundational inspiration, and my two great friends, Paula and Jose Moya, who are with me this evening. Thank you, finally, but certainly not least, to God, from whom all my blessings flow. The work that I have just dedicated myself to is to give voice to those women and girls across time and place who have been silenced and distorted by history. Not so much to interrupt, but to disrupt those narratives we find by the conditions of their history. As persons who did or could not write and leave us very many literate records of those whose ideas, experiences, and ideals were not deemed worthy of further contemplation or applause. I recover the voices of African women forced into the slave trade to the Americas and the white women who participated in their enslavement. I recover the voices of Black, Jewish, and Asian immigrant and migrant women who went to the cities of the 20th century, made lives for themselves, encountered each other, and impacted one another. I recover the voices of free Black women who crafted their own freedom within the context of Black and white patriarchy. I seek to elevate those voices to those of distinction and comprehension. I would like to dedicate my award this evening to my beautiful mother, Emma Gerald Stevenson. Tomorrow will mark the 25th anniversary of her passing. She died young, but not before she fulfilled her destiny. Born in a small, segregated southern hamlet in Mullins, South Carolina, she moved to Virginia in her late teens to craft a life for herself. She married my father a few years later. My mother was determined to create a life of love, intelligence, Christian charity, and achievement for her three daughters. She was our first teacher, preparing us all before we ever went to school to read and to write. She took us to libraries, museums, and historic sites. I became a historian. She taught us our familial histories and the history of Black people in this country. She taught me about the slave girls sold from Virginia to South Carolina who became her great-grandmother. She wanted us to know this history, to understand it, and to be proud of it. She demanded that we be the best that we could be, that we make a difference in the world, and that we help others. This was her tremendous legacy, to love and teach and adore three Black girls in a world where being Black and female did not and does not guarantee this kind of appreciation. She was a magnificent woman and mother, and I adored her. Emma Gerald Stevenson, a woman of the 20th century who prepared female leaders of the 21st century. Thank you very much.